Hey, hi, and hello. It's Dr. O, your favorite virtual coach. Today, I'm going to be talking about homeschooling. And before I get too far ahead of myself, I want to make sure to let you know who I am and welcome you to the channel or welcome back. I'm Dr. O. I have been supporting classroom teachers with transforming their classroom instruction. I work with classroom teachers from kindergarten through college, and we really focus on shifting both our mindsets and our instructional practice to make sure that students are doing most of the work, doing the heavy lifting. And because whoever's doing the hard work is doing the hard learning, right? So we want to make sure to put the work, the effort onto our students. And so today, this topic, homeschooling, is one that was requested of me. The specific question that was asked is, how would you go about creating curriculum if you are homeschooling your children? And so I want to share my experience and some thoughts that I have about homeschooling. And of course, in true teacher form, I have a slide deck that I would love to share with you. I'm going to go ahead and get going with that right now. So let's start with a definition, okay? So homeschooling is defined as the educational method by which the children are taught at home, either by the parent, a tutor, or even an online instructor, okay? And this is instead of going to a place of education, of learning, such as a private school or a public school. Now, this question about creating curriculum, I wanted to make sure to also define this term because I actually have two definitions for curriculum. So here I'm underlining the C in curriculum because I want to emphasize that this C, this lowercase c curriculum, in my opinion, is basically like the packaged curriculum that a school or even a homeschooling parent would purchase from a curriculum developer, right? So in this curriculum, this package, you're going to get your grade level standards. It's going to be explained to you what the concepts and skills are, typically by grade level or developmental age. There are going to be the learning activities as well as the assessments. So that's lowercase c, it's that packaged curriculum. I also like to think of the capital C curriculum, and this is the curriculum in which you create, you curate it. So, capital C curriculum are the learning experience, right, that you're going to create using possibly a packaged curriculum to include your supplements. Maybe you have some guest speakers, your field trips, your mini projects, your supplemental readings, so on and so forth. So for me, the difference between curriculum lowercase c is kind of like the store-bought spaghetti sauce, right? It's you go to the store, you pick it up, you use it in your kitchen, versus the homemade spaghetti sauce where you're pulling together all of the ingredients to create that spaghetti sauce. Okay, now the difference between the store-bought spaghetti sauce and the homemade spaghetti sauce is where that capital C comes in, because you're going to buy that store-bought curriculum, right? You're going to buy that store-bought spaghetti sauce, and then you're going to doctor it up. You're going to enhance it with your various seasonings, your garlic, your onions, your what else we have? Cumin. I like to put cumin in mine. I like to put green peppers and red peppers, but let's not get off on a tangent. You get it. It's what you're going to do with that package curriculum to spice it up and meet the needs of your learners. So whether you're a classroom teacher or you're a homeschooling teacher or parent, right, you're always looking to see what does the curriculum offer and how do I need to enhance it to meet the needs of my learners, whether it's your classroom full of students or the young people in your home. Let's keep going. So, my approach to homeschooling, I have had two experiences. One is in process right now, and the other is with my son. So, my son, he's currently 23, but when he was in school, around 10th grade, we actually pulled him out in January of 10th grade, and we finished off his 10th grade year at home. And I created a curriculum for him using the grade level learning standards for the state that we live in, and then pulling some different resources. Most of his work was self-directed. I assignments that he had to complete, and they were also pretty much project based. So he would do a thing and then have to report back to me. I gave him a couple of assessments, which I found on some curriculum websites, like I think it's called CK Learning, which I just recently went on to Amazon, and there were some like CK Learning courses that were free. So the digital version of those topics were free. So if I can find that link again, I will put it inside the description so that if you're interested, you have access to it. So that's what I did for my son back when he was in high school. I do want to say though that I wasn't confident then. So back then, when I did the homeschooling thing, we were kind of desperate because school wasn't going well for him. In my opinion, it wasn't because he's not a great kid, it's because the school was kind of challenged in meeting the needs of students. Like they really wanted these high schoolers to conform to their expectations. It was a charter school. And so there was constant bumping of heads because the young people were not allowed to like be themselves within a certain boundary. It was kind of like, no, you've got to do it our way or no way. And that created a lot of tension and friction. So it wasn't a good setting for him. And when we completed 10th grade, I decided that I was going to send him back. I said, okay, so you're done with this experience. It was really good, but I think that you're mature enough to go back to a traditional high school. And so we found a different school for him. It was a public school that I thought would go well. And I was able to use the 6 months of work that we had done from January to June. I turned that into a transcript. And they accepted it. All the courses, all the grades, everything they were accepted, and he was allowed to matriculate to that next grade. So that was great. It wasn't great for him. He didn't stay. I don't think he lasted through 11th grade, and eventually he went off to get his GED in like 3 months or something, probably less than that. I think he was kind of like hanging out in the program with his friends for a bit before he was like, let me just take this test and be done with it. And he passed on his first tries. So yeah, so that was my first homeschooling experience. Again, I basically pulled together some resources, aligned them with the state learning goals, and created projects and tasks for him to complete where he could demonstrate his understanding of these concepts and skills. Well, now I have a 2.5-year-old. She'll be 3 in January. And we've tried some school, but I prefer for her to be home with me. I work from home. This is kind of like the life that I've been creating for myself. Even when my son was young, I had wished really hard that I could have worked from home so that he and I could be together. And I had every intention of homeschooling him as well from when he was young, but that just didn't work out. But now I'm in position to do that. I'm in position to homeschool my daughter, and I'm really looking forward to it. And I've learned some things along the way, both, as, conducting some research as well as my experience with my son. The biggest lesson that I've learned as I reflect back on that experience with my son is to have confidence in myself. Have confidence in myself and also to have confidence in my child. Um, which actually, I'm learning this term now, which actually requires me or maybe you to do some unlearning, right? Some unschooling is the term that I've heard thrown around. But let's just go with unlearning for now, okay? When we first did this with my son, it was all about, assigning him what would mirror what would happen in school, right? So we had readings, and then he had like comprehension questions, and he had a task to complete where he was applying the concepts and skills to demonstrate understanding. And what I've learned over the years is that young people can learn in many different ways, and that there is so much learning that's going on that is not necessarily the kind of learning that's happening in school. Not that what's happening in school isn't great, but there are some other ways that young people learn and acquire knowledge. Um, yeah, so. Right now, what I'm doing is I'm doing research to make sure that I know what is developmentally appropriate for my daughter. Again, she's going to be 3. So, what does a 3-year-old know? What can a 3-year-old do? What should my 3-year-old be working towards? So, I'm looking at my state standards to figure out what are the things, right? And then I'm observing my daughter. My daughter is very busy. Okay. So we're talking about creating this curriculum now. Okay. State standards first for her age band. She's 3-ish, so I would say like looking for that age band between 2 and maybe 3.5, 4. What can a 2, 3, and 4-year-old do? What should they be working on? Math, science, social skills, all the things, right? How their bodies are moving, all the things, what they call that fine motor and gross motor skills, all the things, okay? Um, and then I'm also observing her, like, what's her learning style? What is she into and interested in? My daughter is very busy. She is high energy. I believe the term is kinesthetic, right? She likes to touch things and jump off of things and climb things and do all the things, right? She's not necessarily sitting down, reading a book quietly, coloring. No, she wants to be up and out and around. So, with that information, I am creating curriculum. I'm creating her learning experiences to align with what she's interested in. And then lastly, in terms of progress monitoring and assessments, I can't really say I'm giving her an assessment. With my son, I was able to give him a legit assessment that I downloaded from CK12, or, oh, at the time I was also using Khan Academy, and he would complete the assessment and it would give us a score, right? With my daughter, I'm basically progress monitoring. And so what that looks like for us is me sitting back and observing. So, for example, recently we've been reviewing some of the alphabet, lowercase and uppercase letters. She knows all the uppercase letters, and I didn't realize that she didn't know her lowercase letters or recognize that the uppercase M and the lowercase m are both M's. So I've started to introduce uppercase and lowercase letters. So we've done our lessons on it. I think I did M, S, and T, because the S's do look alike, so she was all set there. But the T was one that she was getting stuck on. She knows uppercase T, but lowercase t, not so much. The M, she was mostly good with, depending. Oh, and the letter N, because her name begins with N. So the uppercase N and the lowercase N, again, a little bit of a tricky challenge for her. So the way I'm progress monitoring is I'm observing her to see what she's noticing in her environment. And to my surprise and excitement, when we're out and about or even in the house, she'll point out when she's seeing these letters that we have been going over. So she'll say, Mommy, an N, that's an N for naughty. And I'll say, Where is that N? And she'll point it out. If we're in the car and she's pointing to a billboard, she's like, right there on the sign. Or if we're going for our walk, she'll notice the letter T on the stop sign, capital T, not lowercase t. Mommy, there goes a T. And so this is me monitoring her internalization of what it is that we are working on. Now, the one thing I haven't started doing yet, but I'm working on creating a template for it that I will share with you once it's created, is tracking it. And not tracking it in like a heavy way, more like reflecting on the things that Nadia did that day and then aligning it with those grade level or age appropriate standards, right? Like, so we did some cooking, we made some cornbread. That's science, right? What are some of those skills that she was using during that activity that I can check off and said, oh, yeah, she did some science today, she did some math today. She did some letter recognition today. She's sounding out words. She is so cute. She's sounding out everything. So right now she's interested in ballet. So she says, Mommy, I want to go to ballet. Like she's talking to me in this phonetic manner about everything. It's the cutest thing. Do you want to go to the store, Mommy? The store. Super cute. So I'm writing that down, right? Because that's progress. That's her internalizing what we're teaching her at home, not to be taken lightly. Because again, there were so many different ways to learn. Yes, she can be in school with her peers, and the teacher is sitting at the table with them or at the front of the class, and everybody's doing foundations together. Absolutely. And also, I'm finding value in what it is we're teaching her at home and that she's picking it up and applying it. It all counts. So that's my approach. So let's do some showing and telling. You might be curious to know, well, where would you find grade level learning standards and what constitutes a lesson? So let's take a field trip down the Google. I'm going to stop sharing, pull up the Google, and let's start with ChatGPT. Okay, so we are still in screen sharing mode. All right, so we're now here on ChatGPT, and what we're going to do is we're going to just put in a question as what is developmentally appropriate learning standards for an 18-month old? All right, so we want to focus on encouraging growth in areas such as motor, language, social, emotional, and cognitive. And then ChatGPT kind of goes into a little bit more depth for each one of those. So motor skills, walk independently, climb furniture, squat, pick up objects, right? So like as a parent, if you're thinking about your curriculum, this might not be something that you necessarily write down as, like something that you're creating for like your child's learning experiences. More likely, you are going to be making observations, right? With this knowledge, you can make an observation. Can my child do this? Is my child doing this? How can I create a situation where my child can practice doing this, right? So you might take the cushions off the couch and have your child climb from one cushion onto the next, onto the couch, kind of a deal, right? You might create those kind of activities to have them practice if you don't see them doing it yet. Let's see about language development. Expressive language can say 10 to 20 words, primarily nouns, right? So you're looking at that, and now you're taking in this observation, you're taking in this data as you observe your child, and you're seeing, okay, well, how many words do they have under their belt? What kind of words are they? Are they saying nouns? What about some verbs? What about some adjectives? Are they describing things, right? Again, armed with the information, now you are able to identify where your child is falling. So we're seeing social emotional development. So they're beginning to recognize themselves in mirrors and photos. You're going through your phone looking at pictures and they know who they are in the picture. Cognitive development, we've got some problem solving. So you know those shape sorters, right? Put the lid on the container and they're pushing the triangle into the circle hole and they're trying out different things to problem solve and figure this thing out. Sometimes with your modeling, there's a practice in Montessori, the Montessori method, in which instead of using words to model for how to do something, you just show a lot of like pointing, tapping, showing without any words, just a few moments, and then turning that activity over to the child for them to mimic what it is that you did, right? Very little talking, very little interaction or taking their hand. Like, no, you just show them what you would do, and then you turn it over to the child. What else? And then self-help skills, able to use a cup with minimal spilling. So if you have an 18-month-old, maybe you are now giving them like a tiny cup. When my daughter she was probably one. It wasn't 18 months. By 18 months, she was done with cups and only wanted a sippy cup. She's actually been drinking from a sippy cup, something like this, for quite some time. She'll drink from a cup if she has to, but she prefers, and then she's always drinking water, so she prefers these water jugs. But we used to give her shot glasses, right? Would they be like brandy glasses? I don't know, cognac glasses, whatever that small one is, probably a shot glass, so that she could hold and try on her own. Of course, very little bit. The rule of thumb is only pour as much into that cup as you want to clean up, right? That's the rule of thumb. Okay, so that's for an 18-month-old. Let's see about an older child. Nadia is 3. So let's say similar question. What are the learning standards for a 3-year-old? All right. So the learning standards expand to include more advanced skills in physical, cognitive, social, emotional, blah, blah, blah. So we got those same categories. And now let's see motor skills, something about running more confidently, jumping with 2 feet, climbing stairs with alternating feet, right? Again, once you're armed with this information, you can use it to make observations of what your child is doing. And if they're not doing the thing yet, then you get to create your curriculum to figure out how do you create the learning activities for them to be able to practice or try these things out. I am going to now switch to North Carolina and I'm going to ask them about their learning standards. So what are North Carolina's? What are North Carolina's learning standards for preschool? Let's see. So AI has something going on. Preschool. All right. So let's see. This says preschool NCDPI. I don't know what that is yet, but we'll click on it and see what they have to say. And this is the research you would do because you want to be armed with information to know what it is that your child should be doing, in air quotes, in their developmental age band. What are the academic standards, that content, concept, skills that they would be getting from a school? Not because you necessarily want to mimic or model after what's being done in school exactly, but so that you know, right, and can build off of that if you wanted to. Or if you're going to keep some things out, then at least you're aware of what it is you're keeping out. All right, so let's see. So we've got some pre-K newsletters, some menus of support, some literacy resources, and some unpacking guides. Let's see, approaches to learning, emotional, social development, language. So this is pretty similar to what ChatGPT turned out for us. Now we see math thinking and expression, scientific exploration. So it looks like this is falling under cognitive development. And then we have language development here. Um, Let's go ahead and click into some of these more academic topics. So, learning to communicate. Now, I want to say very clearly to you, sometimes this can feel overwhelming. That's where I come in, right? If you start doing this research and once you leave ChatGPT, which is super user friendly, and you enter into the world of Google where you are Googling things and things are popping up that feel like it's a different language for you, reach out to me. I can help you figure this out pretty quickly. Okay. Sometimes the language is written in very like academic ease, but there are some ways for you to like key in to what it is that they're saying and kind of ignoring the rest of the what I like to call noise, really. Okay. So let's see. This is the learning to communicate standards. It says understands communication from others, shows understanding of increasingly complex sentences, right? So when your babies are small, you might tell them, you might use like those short phrases. Have you ever watched Miss Rachel? So you might use a phrase like go potty to ask them if they need to use the bathroom, right? But as they're getting older, now we're talking about preschoolers, you might literally say, right, do you need to use the bathroom now? Right, that's a complex sentence versus go potty with a question mark after it. Responds to requests for information or action. Do you want to eat right now? Do you want a snack? Or go and get your coat, please. Right? So these are responses either by answering you, yes, I'm ready for my snack, or going to get their coat because it's time to move on to the next thing. Participating in conversations, asking and answering questions, speaking audibly and expressing thoughts, feelings, and ideas clearly. Now, this is definitely something that once you're aware of what your preschooler should be able to do at this age, that you can watch out for it and encourage it by slowing down your speech pattern and modeling. Oh, there we go. Drink some water. by slowing down your speech pattern and modeling for them how to communicate clearly. Okay. I'm going to come out of here and I'm going to model just one more. So I'm in ChatGPT. What are the grade level learning standards for fourth grade? Let's do that. What are the grade level learning standards for fourth grade? Now, that's a really big question because by the time your child is in fourth grade, um, now we have broken up the learning into subject areas. So there would be grade level learning standards for fourth grade math, for fourth grade English, for fourth grade science, so on and so forth. But let's see what ChatGPT pushes out. And if we want to get more specific, we will. Okay, so here they go. So the fourth grade learning standards cover key subjects such as, and they list out all of those subject areas, right? Okay, so we anticipated that. So in English, we have reading comprehension. So here go the subheadings. Reading comprehension, vocabulary and language use, writing, speaking, and listening. In math, they break it down to the branches of math, operations and algebraic thinking, number and operations in base 10, fractions, measurement and data, geometry. Science in fourth grade is life science, earth science, physical science, scientific inquiry, and then on to social studies, okay? Physical education is also included here, art and music. So ChatGPT is probably a really great place to start because when I'm reading this, it's in easy to read and understand language. If you needed to go deeper and find activities, you know that you can add in here a question. Please, I like to talk to ChatGPT and practice using my manners. So please, sometimes I say thank you too. Please provide a few, I'm going to say hands-on activities because my daughter, if she were in the fourth grade, she'd be very active and kinesthetic and wanting to do something. Please provide a few hands-on activities for each of these learning standards. Now, I could have been more specific. I could have said for math or for writing or for reading comprehension, but this is a computer. This is artificial intelligence. So I'm not going to overwhelm the system. I might overwhelm myself by now getting a very long and lengthy list of a few activities for each of the standards, but the system's not going to get overloaded. Here are some hands-on activities for each. Here we go. So we can do some story maps, some character hot seats. I don't know what these things are yet, but armed with this information, I can now take this. Well, first of all, they give you a description, so that's good. Story map is to have students create a story map of a book they've read, outlining characters, setting, plot, and themes. This can be done with drawings, collage materials, or graphic organizers. Boom. Okay, so ChatGPT told me what it was and how to do it. I could also copy and paste this into the Google, and the Google might spit out some activities for me. I do want to caution you on that. I like this level right here because it allows me to use my creativity. It allows me to think about my child and what they're interested in and how I can gear it towards them. If you get into the mode of conducting your research online and looking for those curriculums, right? Those packaged materials, those packaged activities, you could waste a lot of time. Your child is likely reading, right? Have them use the book that they're reading for pleasure that you went to the library and got, and have them do a story map, right? You might give them a huge sheet of construction paper or what is this called? Chart paper. You might have them go onto the computer and create a PowerPoint. You might have them act it out, right? The setting is in like between the bedroom and the kitchen. The plot is Llama's supposed to be going to sleep, but he misses his mama. He's waiting for her to come back from the kitchen with a glass of water because all of a sudden he's thirsty, so on and so forth. And what's the theme? That Llama is safe, and even though his mama is in the kitchen washing dishes or talking on the phone, it's time for him to go to bed and he's going to be okay, right? So your child will be able to do that given an understanding of these key terms. And in the classroom, this would have been called like the skills. What skills and concepts does your child need to understand in order to be able to access this lesson that you want them to complete, creating the story map, um, and also to be able to produce the work that you want them to do? Okay, so the skills and the concepts. I'm going to stop here because I feel like I'm doing a lot of talking. I'm going to stop sharing my screen. And I just kind of want to round this conversation out by saying, um, be creative and have fun. If you are choosing to homeschool your child, don't feel like you have to go it alone. Right now, I am creating, I think I'm doing like a hybrid homeschooling. I am doing some things at home with her, very light, very light. I mean, I don't think we've done more than the letters M, N, S, and T. Yeah, I don't think we've gotten any further than that since maybe 2 weeks ago. It wasn't even last week, it was like 2 weeks ago. I'm doing it, I'm going very low and slow, and it's all good. But I am signing her up for enrichment activities. So we just completed a play group that had us out in the woods, okay? Had us out in the woods with like 20 other children. It was the most cutest thing. It was an absolutely wonderful experience. We have so many pictures of Nadia outdoors, just soaking up what it means to be in nature, okay? We're also going to the library. So we have our library days. Now, listen, when I first took Nadia to the library, she took off her shoes and she was walking around that place like she was at home. She was loud. She wanted to play with all the toys. We didn't read not one book. And they also had touchscreen computers. So she was all about playing with the toys and being on the computers. But I learned my lesson. The next time we went to the library, before we got out of the car, I prepped her. I said, Nadia, when we go to the library today, we're going to keep our shoes on. We're going to read at least one book, and then you're going to do an activity, and then you can get on the computer. And I had to say that a couple of times. We're going to keep our shoes on, then we're going to read a book, then you can do an activity. So they have like playstations. I think it was like an ice cream scoop station. They had a train station and some building blocks. And then after you do an activity, then you can get on a computer. Okay. And that's the order. She's very smart. So she said, well, I'm going to get on the computer first. To which I said, no, we're going to read a book first. Then we're going to do an activity. And then you can get on the computer. And that she understood it. And the experience was much better. I felt it was much better for me. Like, you also have to think about your own capacity and what you need as a person in order to like be able to facilitate your child's learning experience as a homeschooler. Um, but yeah, prepare and be creative. So we do the Zoom, the library, in different play groups. She does gymnastics 1 day a week. We're signing her up for ballet, according to her. And on other days, we're just having fun. We do a lot of house chores. So she likes to sweep and help me mop and vacuum. She loves to vacuum. I told you already, she loves to cook. She loves to cut up the fruits or the vegetables that I'm going to use in our various dishes. And those all count. If you go back to like the gross motor skills and the fine motor skills and the communication, all of those count. So I'm definitely going to create a template that allows me to reflect on what she's doing every day and also check off where on those learning standards she is doing the things that it says she's supposed to be able to do at this age. I hope you found this video helpful. I definitely had a lot of fun doing some research and thinking about what I've been doing as a homeschooling parent. And you stayed to the end, so I hope you liked the video. And please do share the video with people in your network who would love to learn more about this topic. And finally, remember to subscribe, okay? Subscribe so that you can be notified, or subscribe and hit the notification button so that you can be notified when the next video comes out. Listen, have a most awesome day, week, month, year, and I will see you in the next video.